Doing well to get back there as James Wainwright heads Michael Booth, and then that just tiny gap back to James Dye, Steve Smith and Rob Guinan, all absolutely together down the long Park Straight, that dip in the middle, one of the fastest parts of the circuit here at Cadwell, up into the long right-hander of Chris Curve. There we see that leading five concertinaing up. There's not a lot between the leader, James Wainwright, and Rob Guinan in fifth place. And oh, Michael Booth there losing out as they run down into the gooseneck. Once again to James Dye. James up into second, and Bomber Booth losing out there, but he regains it at the S's. He's back up into second, chasing James Wainwright. There's James Dye in third, and Steve Smith a little wide, but still managing to stay ahead of Rob Guinan as they run up the hill. And Michael Booth, well, he's looking to run up the inside, but there's not a lot of room up there, and James Wainwright runs out of road. He slides across the track, and Michael Booth off on the grass as well. And James is, and there's Steve Smith. He's gone grass tracking. Booth has dumped it. Oh, Michael, the borrowed bike, he tries to get back on board. Can he get running again? Well, that's James Wainwright down and out of this. Steve Smith we saw sliding across the grass. He may well have regained the track, but James Wainwright, that's the end from a great race for him. What a great shame for James. Good to see him up, but okay. But there, that leaves us with Rob Guinan. Rob Guinan from James Dye. Rob, who's never won one of these yet, and James Dye, who's leading this championship. Well, it does seem... Do the others want him? He wasn't involved in that particular incident, but they're just falling like flies around him, and championship leader gets on course for another whole hatful of points. Ben Cater still chasing hard after Josh Cagill. But back up the front, James Dye ahead of Rob Guinan. Now, Rob, not a lot of race to go, and he's having a look at the inside at Mansfield, and that was a... Now, let's have a look at the replay here. Michael Booth sticking up the inside into Hall Bends. There's not a lot of room there, and James Wainwright just... the front tucks under. He slides across the road. They were lucky to miss him. And Michael Booth, well, he's off on the rough stuff, and James will be furious with that. He'd had such a good race up to that point. The leaders down to start-finish line once again, and Rob Guinan, well, I can't tell you how desperate he'll be to stay there in front. And it's a lovely shot from AJ's bike up in Hall Bends, coming down into the hairpin and barn corner and back onto the start-finish straight as the leaders up into Chris Curve, and James Dye pulling up alongside Rob Guinan there. He'll have the line for this long right-hander. Once again, Rob Guinan having to give best to the championship leader. And there, the battle for eighth. And in amongst that lot, we can see Ben Cater once again. And here on board with AJ Hutchison. And we're chasing Richie Welsh. Richie, number 48, who's currently second of the challenge runners, and in fifth place overall. AJ currently in sixth, which is his highest position so far this season, and he closes on Richie as they run down the sharp hill into Mansfield. He's having a little look down the inside, but not quite close enough, and Richie just chops across his nose down into that little chicane, and a short sharp burst down to the left-hander towards the bottom of the mountain, chasing Richie Welsh. Richie up and over the top, bit of a wiggle on there, and there we see AJ following Richie number 48. And now the leaders up the hill towards Charlie's. Still just James Dye from Rob Guinan as they go out on their last lap. And here's third place and leading challenge runner Ricky Chadwick. He's been chased down by Steve Smith. Steve, who of course, had that long trip across the grass, avoiding the earlier accident. And there, James Dye running down towards the gooseneck, chased by Rob Guinan. Oh, how much does Rob Guinan want this first win? He would love just to sneak it past James Dye, but James leaving absolutely no room for manoeuvre there. Ricky Chadwick, again, holding that third place. He'd love the third place overall, but Steve Smith is not going to let him have that. Through he goes. Steve Smith up into third overall. Ricky, of course, still leading the challenge runners. And now AJ Hutchinson, once again, down towards Mansfield, chasing hard after Richie Welsh. Richie running a little wide, and AJ, well, after you, Claude. No, thanks, mate, after you. AJ up into fifth. That is the highest position he's running, and the checker flag comes out for that championship leader. He extends his lead. James Dye loves that. Rob Guinan has to settle for second ahead of Steve Smith. Ricky Chadwick wins the challenge in fourth. AJ Hutchinson finishes fifth ahead of Richie Welch. AJ's best result of the season. And there on the podium, James Dye takes the winner's trophy. Rob Guinan second, and Steve Smith in third place. And there we see Ricky Chadwick taking the win in the challenge from Richie Welsh and Greville Ball.